All right, I think we're live. So happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to our weekly NoCodeOps live community show. If you've been following our community, we're an international community for operators leveraging no-code as a technology in their day-to-day practice. And so we've been hosting these live events every Thursday because we really wanted to be on top of all the new trends and new tools that keep coming up every day or every week into our space. And so that's why we're here today with Caitlin Ashley from Qatalog. Hi, Caitlin. It's lovely to have you here. And
Yeah, pleased to
today,
be here.
amazing. And today we will also be exploring a new tool that I've never used before, Qatalog. So when I quickly glanced at your website and what you guys do, and I was really, I was really excited to be learning more about it because it looks really awesome. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and maybe, tell us a bit more about how Qatalog can really help people in operations today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, my name is Caitlin. I do product here at Qatalog. I've been at Qatalog for about 2.5 years, which is a long time, a veteran in the startup world. And as we were talking about before this call, one of the reasons I was really drawn to Qatalog and why I'm also excited to be here with this community is prior to Qatalog and prior to doing product at Qatalog, I was in revenue operations for a really long time. And one of my main responsibilities was assessing tools, looking at our tool stack, and buying tools on behalf of teams. And so it made me really excited about Qatalog. And transitioning a bit into Qatalog itself, if you check out our website, we say that we're a bespoke operating system for work, which is a lot to unpack. Essentially, that means that we are a centralized, structured, and customizable tool for managing all of your work, your people, and your processes. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about, competitors, which might sort of help all of this jive a little bit more. But basically, if you think of all of the tools that you're used to for managing your work, from directories to tasks and project management tools, documentation, a universal search, we have all of that in kind of one central packaging. But the real differentiator is that we allow anyone to go in and customize those elements to fit their business, regardless of industry or size or strategy.
It's funny you're talking about competitors and the differences. As one of the questions that I had from our forum, from one of the people in our audience today, from David. Hi, David. Was in fact, who are your primary competitors, and the differences that you could see with them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So I'd say probably two of our main competitors would be on one end ClickUp and probably on the other end Notion. And I like using these two examples because I think it also speaks to Qatalog's strength. So when it comes to tools, particularly these all-in-one tools, you usually have to pick between structure and flexibility. And on one end, you have ClickUp, which is incredibly structured. But for the average company that maybe isn't a big established tech company, it can feel a little too structured. Maybe it's not speaking quite the same language as your company. It's a little bloated. And then kind of on the flip side, you have something like Notion, which is super flexible. It's really fun to go into Notion and kind of like jam away. I know people tend to be really into like creating specific templates and sharing it. But for a company, Notion can be, particularly for an operator, if you're overseeing a company Notion, it can feel a little too unwieldy in how flexible it is. And so we at Qatalog have really aimed to balance the two, structure and flexibility. And what we've done is we've basically broken down what we believe to be the real central building blocks to work. So tasks and pages and search, and made them basically Lego blocks that anyone can piece together and then package and use their own company language to create something that really speaks to their own company. So it's a balance between structure and flexibility. And as a company, you don't have to adjust how your company works and operates to fit the language of a different tool. That's something we feel really strongly about. Not all
That's cool to
companies.
know. That's cool to know
Yeah,
because Notion, I agree with you. It's amazing to see, the endless possibilities that you can have, like the freedom on a blank page. But when it comes to a big company, how do you make sure indeed that, that you're not messing it up for other people, basically?
definitely.
So I'm very keen to see how you integrate that kind of level of being a little bit more professional, if you like, into
Yeah,
a company operation.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Should
Should
we
I pull
jump
your
in?
screen? Let's jump in.
Yeah, awesome.
Alrighty, let's go. And hi to all the people watching. If you have any questions at any time during this live, we want to make it as interactive as possible. So feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will feed them onto our expert here for you today.
Awesome. Can you see my screen? It should be
Mm-hmm.
the catalog website. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go in and I'm going to sign up for Catalog. As I was telling Claudia beforehand, always a fun moment to be a product manager and doing a live demo. So yeah, so I'm going to go in. Obviously, we prefer if you sign up with your company email address, and obviously, if you want to make a catalog for your company, we recommend going that route. We have this feature where you can turn this on or you can turn it off, but anyone else who's signing up to Catalog, if they have the same email domain as you, they have the option to just enter your workspace, which makes it a little bit easier. But I'm going to use my personal for the purposes of this demo. All right, so again, it's a bunch of test environments here, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. So really simple kind of sign up process, my company name. I don't know about anyone else on this call, but I'm a big Succession fan. I don't know if it's as big in the UK and Europe, but I'm going to say Waystar Royco.
Is that
It
fairly
looks like,
new? I think I've heard about it. At least in the US, like a lot of my colleagues were talking about this show.
yeah, it's on its fourth season, but it's the final season, so I feel like there's a lot of a hype around it by now. What's also funny is it looks like one of my colleagues has also played around with this because our subdomain is Waystar Royco too. All right. So again, just kind of super simple. And so this is the first step of the customization process. And I think you teased in the description for this event that we use a bit of AI to help set up your work hub in your catalog.
I had to drop the AI sprinkle.
Got it. Okay, well, we can sprinkle it in right now. So as you can see, what we want you to do is just describe your business. So I'm going to say a media company. And, without going into too much depth, I know we're a bunch of operators on the call. I'm an operator myself. What I just did was basically provide a prompt to our AI. This is kind of a secondary one. So which of these feel relevant to you? And this is just kind of our second step of making sure that we understand your company a bit better. And I'm just going to go with this first one, media company. All right, so from here, from the prompt of media company, we came up with all of these potential items that at a media company we believe you manage. So this is one of the first building blocks of catalog, and we can always customize this later. This is really just to kind of get you set up so you're not entering with a total blank canvas. And I'm actually going to get rid of a couple of these. So let's get rid of maybe media and consultants. And I want to change clients to advertisers. So this kind of makes sense, right? In terms of work objects at a media company, what do we manage? We manage content, we manage publications, we manage advertisers, and we manage campaigns. So this is kind of something that we'll come back to. Within Catalog, we call each of these pieces modules. So these are sort of the modular objects that will comprise your Catalog work hub. And what's happening here is that we're taking these inputs and we're generating more information about each of them. So as you can see here, we just generated on the fly a little icon for each of these, a description. So campaigns are used to track and manage the progress of marketing initiatives. Sounds about right. And then we note kind of all of the features associated with these work items out of the gate. Again, all of this is modular. We're going to have the ability to add or remove or edit any of these pieces later on. But this is pretty cool, right? I just signed up. I said, we're a media company. I was able to give it a little bit of direction, and
That's amazing in 60 seconds.
Yeah. Cool. So let's get started and enter our product for the first time.
And it's really cool. I already like, as you're confirming my thoughts on how a little bit more professional it looks. So that's really great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously very biased, but when we were talking about differences with competitors, I really think that our design is a big competitive advantage. Our CEO, Tarek, is very design oriented. He was previously an architect, and I feel like a lot of that comes through in our design. We also have a very talented design team.
You can always tell when there's a designer, in the background.
Yep. So just a few kind of little welcome tool tips. I'm actually working on kind of updating all of this as we speak. So this will look a bit different and arguably more polished in a few days. But as you can see here, content, publications, advertisers, and campaigns, those were the pieces that we just built together during that sign up process. So those are our kind of main ingredients to our work hub. We don't have any work in here right now. So what I'm going to do, again, as kind of the direction that I'll take sort of the rest of the demo in, is entirely from the perspective of an admin or an operator. And, speaking to my past experience, I'm sure this is the experience of everyone on this call. When you're assessing a tool and setting it up, they're kind of a couple of big pieces, right? The first one is deciding on the tool and structuring it to fit your company so that it's designed in a way that you believe fits your company use cases and is accessible to the people who are going to use it. And then the second piece, which I always had a much harder time with, is actual adoption. And it's like getting everyone onto the product and using the product in a sustainable way so that, they transition their workflow into the product. And so this first piece, I'll be going over more of the structure, and then I'll touch on a couple of ideas that I think are generally applicable to other tools for ways to increase adoption with a new tool. All right, so I'm going to go into my settings. And again, I'm an admin, so I have a lot more settings than your average user. And I want everyone to pay attention to these first three pieces at the top. These are the pieces that you can really customize. So we have general, modules, and navigation. So general is a great place to start. Just get a couple of quick wins out of the gate. So let's customize the look and feel of this. So I'm going to upload some logos. And as you can see, I now have a catalog that no longer has the catalog logo. It has my company logo. And we'll upload a full logo as well. Great. If you have, company colors, you can drop in, your color hex here. Otherwise, let's just go with some So
you can use a little bit of your branding as well.
Exactly.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, super easy to brand out of the gate. I'm doing this in a few seconds. So what's my organization tagline for Waystar Royco? Kind of evil media conglomerate. Okay. So I'm going to save changes. And yeah, as you can see, I still have my logo up there, and I've changed my navigation color. So kind of nice, already customized. Nice little quick win out of the gate. So we're going to visit modules. And so again, we have advertisers, campaigns, content, and publications. These are the things that Qatalog made for me out of the gate with just a little bit of prompting on my side. And presumably these are all things that a media company manages. I do want to say, and I think this applies to most tools, right? You have to come in with a strategy around how you want to set it up. And so I would encourage anyone who's setting up a catalog or really any tool to have at least a mental map as to how they want to structure the tool for their company use. And so again, in theory, these are all items that my company manages. So I'm going to pop into advertisers to go into a little bit more detail. So we are in advertisers, and essentially what I'm doing is I have the ability to customize all of these details about this one work item called advertisers. So I can rename it. This is already, I think, a big improvement off of other tools, as we mentioned. You know, not every company is a digital technology company, and maybe you don't use projects. Maybe it's called campaigns. And so you don't have to, particularly like when you're trying to get your teammates to adopt a tool, you don't have to say, okay, use projects, use this thing in this tool called projects, and that will just be campaigns. There's no reason to, you don't have to do that translation, because you can just kind of change the underlying work item itself.
You can adapt it to your current workflow and, you know, however what you're using in your operations, which is great, because we were talking about this earlier as well, like the friction of all these operators that all of a sudden, you know, obviously we all love no code and the immense possibilities around it, but all these operators that all of a sudden were dropped with these new tools and like, hey, this is how we're going to do things from now on. This is a new tool you have to learn, new terminology, all of that. And so it's great to see that you offer the extra flexibility as well, where people can keep using the terminology that they're used to.
Yeah. And that's really important to us. We want to make this tool accessible to more types of companies. And we think this is one of the ways to do it. In a lot of our conversations with customers, we were surprised by the amount of friction there was to, you know, kind of like the example I was just talking about, getting someone to understand that this product that we had equaled this thing that they had within their company, and just the ability to rename something and provide a different description goes a long way. We can also change the avatar, so this will change throughout the product. So for advertisers, let's change this to, like, I don't know, a $sign or something. All right. As you can see, that changed up here. A bunch of other kind of little settings that we don't have to go into a bunch of detail about. I'm going to turn on external sharing for advertisers. And I'll show how this works when I'm creating a specific advertiser. But what's cool is with external sharing, in this case, an advertiser is a work object. It's kind of like a CRM, right? I have the ability to create all of these advertiser records, and I can make tasks for my advertisers. I can write pages for project plans or upcoming campaigns for that advertiser. But with external sharing turned on, I could also share that one advertiser page and its associated work with the advertiser in question. So I'll go into a bit more detail on that in a bit, just kind of teasing it. So,
I love the tease.
Yeah. So fields. Again, in this case, it's kind of like a record, right? And there are a bunch of custom fields that you probably want associated with an advertiser. These were all generated by the AI during like that 60-second period that we saw. And again, we can rename some of these, like, you know, maybe some of these are a little clunky. Probably don't need advertiser contact. We could just change that to contact. But I could add revenue in here. I could add customer success manager. For instance, like this contact is tied to my catalog people object. So let's change this to internal contact. So this will allow us to create a field. And so Claudia, if you're a part of my company and you're, you know, I could label you as owning a number of different advertisers. And when I go in, I can then click on your name and kind of easily jump between all of these different objects. Nice. So a lot of flexibility here. And the jumping between different objects is related to connections. We're working on kind of up-leveling this a lot, but this was also kind of one of the really foundational pieces. One of the difficult things with being an operator and managing all these different tools is that they're disconnected. And a lot of the knowledge that an individual at a company acquires is from understanding the relationships and connections between work that's happening and clients and the teams that are working on that work and the people on those teams. And so by having all these connections, we enable basically a lot of interlocking and interplay between all of these different work items that makes that context that much easier.
Yeah.
And then here are a bunch of the features that we saw in the beginning. So again, this is just kind of like setup, admin stuff. So not a ton to see here. But essentially what this means is that out of the gate, we're saying that we want advertisers to have documentation, native documentation attached to it, resources, which are just links to external tools, tasks, threads, so that you can have discussion on an advertiser, and workflows, which is kind of like Zapier triggers, but if anything, more person-to-person oriented. If we have time, I'll show a little bit of that. But we have a bunch of other features that you can layer on, and you can learn more about all of these here.
We have a comment from Rachel. Hi, Rachel. She says, so useful, balancing team historical knowledge, how tools interact with each other can be so complex.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that we were trying to solve here. And, along the lines of how tools interact, there are a bunch of really great tools out there. For instance, we work really well with, Microsoft Suite. We work really well with Google Suite. We think Slack is really great for team building and discussion and solving one-off problems when kind of process breaks down. And so we work with a variety of different tools, and we also enable it with the universal search. So you can go in and you can connect a bunch of integrations that your company uses. As an admin, you can also block integrations. I know as an operator, it can be really difficult when you learn that like this entire different team just bought and is using a tool that you did not sanction. So having the ability to block that from happening is kind of nice too. But yeah, one of our most used features is like connecting a Slack channel to one of these objects. And so what you could do, for instance, and I'll go into an example with an advertiser. So let me go ahead and save this. If you create an advertiser and there are updates on that advertiser, you could connect it to a Slack channel, like a sales Slack channel, and all updates on that advertiser will get pushed to the Slack channel. So again, we're not necessarily cutting out all of your favorite tools. We think you can cut out a bunch of them, but yeah, we really do try to play nicely with a variety of different tools that exist out there. So one thing I just want to touch on quickly before we jump into, I'm going to create a kind of a sample advertiser to sort of, piece all this together. But navigation is also something that you can customize. So out of the gate, what we do is that we create one navigation item per module that you have. We also have this browse view, which is just gives you immediate direct access into a view that allows you to see all the tasks and pages and threads and workflows within your company. However, you can also add additional navigation items. You can create a folder. And so like browse over here, as you can see, like I don't click on browse, it just kind of opens up a secondary navigation. And so we wanted to give admins the ability to really customize the navigation, because the navigation within any product really colors how the people who are using it think about the structure of the product, and by extension, your company. And so again, we just want to give people a lot of flexibility to make Qatalog work for their company. We do see kind of two dominant different approaches here. One, you could have a setup like this one where it's more broken out by work objects. I kind of prefer this one because it kind of means that everyone's speaking the same language. You know, like, I don't know, it's not broken out by teams. The other approach is to break it out by teams or departments, or if you're a huge company, maybe regions. But then it, in my opinion, kind of silos things a little bit. At the same time, you know, it does keep potentially those teams like focused on what matters most. So again, keep it flexible and up to the end user.
Yeah, would you say they're your prime customers, like those maybe smaller companies that could use Qatalog as a unified operation management tool?
Sorry, what's the question?
Would you say they're like your prime customers or users of the tool?
Yeah. So we tend to say that, you know, our customer, our company is above 50. However, we use Qatalog a ton at Qatalog, and we are not 50 people. So I really think that, you know, probably above like 25, I think is a pretty solid, you know, that's when you tend to have more process
a lot going on.
Yeah. A lot going on, particularly if you're in a period of hyper growth. And that's when you want to really streamline operations and kind of, you know, start putting a bit more process around stuff. What's also really nice about all of this too is, again, it's really easy to add or, you know, delete or deactivate some of these modules. And so Qatalog can really grow with your company. Like maybe up front, you don't need that much structure because you're really a small team. But if you decide to open a new office halfway across the world, or if you decide to work with a outside agency, you can just create modules and like restructure things a little bit. And so, you know, the Qatalog can like learn and adjust and work with your company as you grow.
Perfect. That's nice.
All right, so let's jump into advertisers, and I think this will start making maybe a little bit more sense. So again, this advertisers example, again, like all of these modules can kind of be what you want them to be. This is a dashboard view for advertisers. And so if I had a ton of different advertisers, this would probably look, I'm a big Salesforce fan, but like this would look pretty, particularly if you're a smaller company and you don't need all of the Salesforce features. I think this would be a really solid kind of CRM for managing advertisers. And we do have an import feature that allows you to import CSVs from other tools. So again, like I know it's getting adoption and driving adoption and transitioning work from one tool to another is difficult. And so we're trying to make that as easy as possible. So I'm just going to create one advertiser. Let's say Disney. Oh, wonderful.
Always. I was waiting for that moment. Always.
All right, we're here. All right, so I'm going to click into Disney. We have a little bit of tool tips just because this is our first time seeing all of these features in action. So here are all the fields that we worked on, right? We have like internal contact, which we talked about, campaigns. I can add a page. You know, the overview is just, again, kind of the overview of our advertiser. And then we have a bunch of our different features in here. Let's see, we got status and then our details fields. So we have some recommended actions. Let's get rid of those. And this is where you can just kind of start populating things and building out your advertiser CRM. So let's see, we don't have any other users in here yet, but this is where I can add a page. And let's see, like maybe 2024 project plan, and let's use a template.
Do you have a marketplace or like where people can pull in these templates, or does it automatically generate the template for you?
Yeah, we're actively working on incorporating, you know, a little bit of that generative AI aspect to automatically create templates. Right now, we just kind of hard code them in, but that will be coming very, very shortly.
Nice.
So yeah, I just, created an out of the box project plan, which is cool. Again,
Anthony
yeah.
says, I would like a legal template. Well, Anthony, you can try out Qatalog and ask the AI to make you one.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that'll be coming super, super shortly. We don't have, a ton of, objects in our catalog right now, but let's say I want to note who the directly responsible individual is on this, and I can @mention. So again, we don't have a ton going on, but should be able to. If I had other objects, basically I can @mention and select any person in here, any other object. And again, like when I publish it, it'll be linked. And so whoever's reading this could be like, oh, directly responsible individual, that's Claudia. I can click into Claudia and then see your whole profile. So now I have my project plan. I can fill out all of these fields. I can create tasks and invite people here. So from an adoption standpoint, what we recommend is, as an admin, like I don't really think that you need to do a ton of setup normally. Obviously, your end users will probably have an easier time if they see a lot of familiar content in there. But what you could do is maybe you could go ahead and upload a bunch of, work objects that you're familiar with to create a starting point, or you can invite people in. So let's see. Claudia, what's your email address?
Claudia@runswitchboard.com.
How do you spell that?
So runs, as in runs. Yeah.
Yep.
As switchboard.com.
Does that look right? Okay.
I think is with one S.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cancel invite.
Yeah.
Claudia
runs switchboard. I think it's one S. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to save.
Yeah.
All right. And you are invited. And it'll take a few minutes for you to show up.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm refreshing. Refresh.
Okay, cool. And so I tested this out a little bit earlier. It does look a little bit laggy right now, but what I could do is, even while Claudia is waiting to accept the invite, I can create a task. So
I'm in there.
Awesome. Finish up project plan. All right. If I click into this task, again, we have subtasks. We have all these different fields. As a admin, if my company doesn't use estimates, if we don't use blockers or labels, I can just get rid of these fields. So just another example of how truly customizable the tool is. But I can assign this now to Claudia, and Claudia will receive it. But you can also assign tasks, and you can mention people who have an invite pending. And so what's nice about that is you can do a little bit of setup, but then you can just assign tasks to, for instance, team leads to be like, hey, finish this project plan, which is really great for adoption. Because I don't know about you, but usually when I'm invited to a tool, I'm like, why am I getting invited to this tool? And then I'm dropped into the tool and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so probably the best way to get familiar is to get a teammate to just tell you what you're supposed to do. So in this case, I could just give you a bunch of tasks, and then you, by doing these tasks, will get familiar with Qatalog. And again, that just kind of helps with.
That's really nice. That's a sort of onboarding process as well for the tool.
Yeah. So a couple of other things I just wanted to touch on quickly. I mentioned we had a directory. So if I click down here, we have an information page. And here's the information I provided earlier. And this is kind of great as like a company wiki or company meeting place. So again, you can have company pages in here, like expense policies or time off policies or benefits, kind of all of that really central documentation that applies to everyone within the company. You can have threads. So this is really great for like a company meeting place where maybe it's a asynchronous town hall. You can encourage your teammates to ask questions of the admins or the C-suite, and you can have a discussion here. So let's create a thread. So,
oh yeah, I think I just created one as well, but I don't know.
Oh, nice. Great.
I'm just playing around with the tool.
Yeah, let's do Q3 strategy. And maybe let me mention. I saw that you you're creating some ClickUp pieces in there. I saw that come up on the
Oh. Maybe I shouldn't be clicking anything. I'm gonna beat your.
No, all good. Let's see if I can mention you. I should be able to. All right. Well, I could do something like Q4 strategy. You know, what's going on here? How'd the board meeting go?
And that's the type I can see is a type of announcement at the top.
Yeah, and I can change that. So maybe in retrospect, I probably should have changed that to discussion.
To discussion. That's the one that I did. Discussion.
Yes, perfect. And what's also cool, if you do discussion. Oh, and I missed this because my little screen share thing is blocking. If you see down here, we have the option of needs resolution and select a due date. And so if I do a discussion and I have needs resolution on it, then I can basically, we can have a paper trail, like a back and forth paper trail, and ultimately we can decide on what the answer is, mark that as resolution, and then you have this physical, you know, living artifact of a discussion that happened and what the ultimate decision was, which I think is really great. I feel like those are sort of the invisible, that's the like the invisible work that happens all the time in Slack, and then it's just like impossible to find. And you don't have the context around why that decision was made. Yeah, I know we're coming to the end of this demo here, but workflows is also just like a really, really powerful tool. I think the best way to demonstrate this is actually going into my company catalog.
Yeah, that would be great to see how. Yeah, I think that would be great to show like how the actual visualization of all the connections look like. That would be really great. And people in the audience, if you have any questions right now, this is your time to drop them in the chat, because we're heading towards the end. So feel free to ask away. It's your unique opportunity to learn as much as you can right now.
All right, so one of our classic workflows. So again, workflows are basically processes. And it creates a really, as the person who's creating and managing a process, which I'm sure everyone on this call does a ton of, it's really nice and simple and clean to set up, and you just have to do it one time, and then you can just assign these processes to people, know that they have to follow the process and they can't go in a different direction, which you're kind of leaving up to chance whenever you have a process like in a document, and you can see how far they go along in the process. So a classic example are some of our bug workflows. Which one are we using the most? All right, let me use this other one. But essentially we have these bug workflows set up so that everyone internally can file a bug report. Let me show you these edit steps. So our first step is a form step, and we're like, what's the TLDR on this bug? What behavior were you expecting? How do you reproduce? Then they have the option to upload an image or a video of the bug, note what device it occurred on. And then as an end user, if I'm kind of running through this on my own, all I do is fill that out. And then we have 2 automated steps built in. So once I fill out all of the information related to my bug, what Qatalog will do is automatically create we use Shortcut, our engineering team will create a shortcut ticket, put all of your inputs into a shortcut ticket, attach it to a specific epic, prioritize it a specific way, and then also simultaneously send a Slack message to, we have like a bugs channel where people can have more discussion. And so this is just a small 3-step workflow, but it's just really improved our internal operations and cut down a ton of time in managing bugs.
We do have a couple questions coming in from Tali. Hi, Tali. Amazing to have you here today. Can you show catalog search, and also in regards to the form that you just showed? Does your form support video and audio as well?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So because I'm in workflows right now, I'll just show you. So let's go to my workflow so I don't mess up any of my teammates' workflows. Yeah, so this is one I made a long time ago. So PTO, prep and readiness. Again, my old days as being a ops person very much coming through. Let me know when you're out of office and make a plan for it. So awesome. We have a bunch of different, steps here. Let me go ahead and create a new, actually I have this like incomplete step so I can play around with that. So I can choose what type of step it is. So if you wanted video or audio, let's just do text. And I can actually, sorry, let me go back. So text is good if you just have like text that you want someone to read or what you want people to read. But we have the option to just have an embed video step. And so you can drag code in from YouTube or Loom or whatever video you're using and embed it here. And so when you're actually, executing on these steps as an end user, and I can just also preview kind of how that looks. You would see, again, this is just a preview, so it's not totally what the end user will see, but you would see the video here. And you'd go in, and these are all the things I get to check off to plan my PTO. This is where I note the initiatives while I'm out. So again, our
you can assign it as well. You can assign it to somebody to take over. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And then the other question was around search. All right.
Yeah. If you could show the catalog.
Yeah. Search. So let's see, I'm trying to think of something that would be okay for me to search for everyone. These are my latest searches. Let's do teams. I think I'm going to get a lot of stuff. So as you can see here, it's searching across everything. If I wanted to speed it up, I could pick one tool or another. But it's searching across Qatalog, my Slack, my Google Drive, Asana, which I don't use, which is why we don't really see anything there, and Shortcut. And, this is everything that has Teams incorporated.
That's really cool.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So these are like all of the, documents and conversations referenced with Teams, which there are a bunch. Yeah. And so the more really tools you hook up here, the more you can search across.
How many tools can you integrate with right now?
Yeah, I actually don't know the number off the top of my head, but if you go to integrations, you can see all of the tools. So a big number of them. These are all blocked from our organization. Again, as I mentioned, just giving our admins a little bit of control over what tools we use by prohibiting some.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Let's see. Do we have any more questions coming in? And as we wait, Caitlin, I just wanted to just say thank you for taking the time and for being here with us today, showing us Qatalog. I'm super impressed with the potentialities of this tool. once again, I can see how it can work really well for those companies that are looking to get a little bit more organized, especially when you start having too many things going on at once. I really enjoy this. I think, what do you see in the future of the tool? What do you see coming for it? I know that you said about implementing more AI, but do you think of maybe more tools to come into the space as well? I'm thinking Airtable, the usual operations tool. Do you think you will be integrating those as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I do think that we're trying to move more in the direction of being able to do everything that an Airtable does. So we'd probably be expanding our table capabilities, which we're actively working on. So you can embed tables right now within a page and link and connect to different work items like you can in Airtable. But yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that we're looking at right now is reporting. So we do have these, fairly comprehensive, browse views. Again, this is our internal catalog, so I don't want to, let's just look at tasks or something. So we have these big browse views, so you can filter and see everything. But the next thing that we want to do is add graph elements sort of on top of it. So that is a big thing. And yeah, I think outside of that, like the big overarching initiative that we're going to be working on is how to more seamlessly incorporate generative AI kind of throughout the product in terms of templates, so that, yeah, everyone can kind of create and go about work that much more efficiently, and sort of offload a lot of, the more kind of menial work about work tasks to a machine or a robot, essentially, versus putting it on yourself so that, you can spend more of your time doing the deep thinking work that can only be done by you.
Perfect. Very nice. Do you have a roadmap for the AI?
We do. We're aiming to release a few more features related to it at the end of Q2.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I guess just before we go, did you have what are, possibly your main challenges that you have to face? You're obviously, you're working in product for Qatalog, and so you're deep in the weeds of everything that's going on there. And so what would you say were your main challenges, and what do you see like in this whole world of AI and all of that? Would you say that's going to aid your progression, or is that going to be another barrier that you're going to kind of have to juggle with?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges I've had is obviously scope. We're trying to do a lot, but actually this more recent, we kind of redid our entire product from a design and front end standpoint to back end late last year. And that enabled us to kind of do this more modular work hub setup that I've been talking about. And so if anything, that change has helped a lot, because instead of thinking about all of these distinct products to build, of which there's so many that all these companies need, it takes a little bit more thought and strategy. But if you can boil it down to basically individual components that work really nicely together, that has actually simplified it a bit, although the thinking is a little bit harder. And that, I think, is where I see AI potentially helping out a lot, just kind of on idea generation, and yeah, kind of sparking your imagination as a product manager to explore a specific direction that maybe I didn't think of previously.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, thank you so much once again, for being here and sharing your time, expertise, and experience with us. I'm very grateful that we managed to do this today. And I'll let you know if anyone in the community has any more questions related to Qatalog in our future conversations. And I'd love to keep in touch, and follow you on your journey. So let's do that. let's keep collaborating in the future. And I wish you all the best. And thank you so much for being here with us again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Claudia. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me, caitlin.ashley@qatalog.com. We have a bunch of help resources, but also kind of thinking about company tooling in this way, we recognize is like a little new. And so we have some really awesome AEs and CSMs at our company who are more than happy to work with anyone to kind of get them thinking about what structure could work for them. So yeah, feel free to
And
reach out.
I also shared about the tool in our previous newsletter last week or this week. So hopefully, you'll get more people trying it out and giving you a little bit of feedback on how it works and everything else.
Excellent. Well, thank
Amazing.
you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you. I'll see everyone else on Discord 24/7. You can always find me there. All right. Bye.
Excellent. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.